It's time for a little bit of intellectual anarchy where we engage in extreme truth, extreme common sense, and diversity of ideas. How's everyone doing today? I'm your host, James Salazar. Today is a time for a little bit of intellectual anarchy. Just said that before. I like repeating myself. So it looks like there's a little bit of division in the conservative movement. There's been a battle or a fight being fought over social media concerning a contract deal between Steven Crowder, Louder with Crowder, and the Daily Wire, which is owned by Jeremy Boring and Ben Shapiro. So, and I'm just going to tell you my reaction since I'm conservative. I'm a conservative libertarian. And I listen to both these people. More Ben Shapiro because Ben Shapiro seems to have really good data. But Crowder is a comedy podcast. And that defends, makes fun of defends conservative ideals and makes fun of liberals' ideals in a funny way. And it's pretty edgy for conservative media. So I'm going to tell you where I agree with Steven Crowder and where I don't agree with Steven Crowder and where he finally lost the argument. And it's when everybody loses the argument. So, and let me just tell you the background of it. He's leaving The Blaze, Glenn Beck's thing, very much like the Daily Wire. And he was planning to come over to the Daily Wire. They offered him $50 million, an initial offering. And because the way the contract was formed was that you have to make sure that all your stuff stays on YouTube, because if it gets demonetized, us giving you $50, we're not making money. Now look, the only reason the Daily Wire is hiring Steven Crowder for $50 million because they expect to make more from that. That's the first truth. They expect to do more for that. They're not doing it because I like him. It's one of the motives. They're not doing it because he's funny, and that's one of the motives. But they're doing it at the very top level. The very first reason is that they by bringing him along. By bringing him along, they will increase their revenue. They will gain all his viewerships and gain some more. And they, in their system of host and guest that work with Daily Wire, that are employed by Daily Wire, they cover a much needed comedy section. Because though Ben can be funny and Andrew Klavan can be funny, they all have their moments of funny, but right from the get-go, Steven Crowder is going for the jokes immediately and then has moments of seriousness, but he's always going for the joke, which is much needed because it's an avenue that conservatives are lacking in. They have very few funny people that have a show that is successful, that are all about the joke for conservatives. Now, look at Andrew Crowder says stuff that for the funny. So he'll make fun of people. He'll make off-color jokes. He'll straddle the line about making fun of people where Ben Shapiro and all these other people are trying to keep it straight and logical for the argument, Steven Crowder's going to do that. He's going to make a joke at another person's expense, which is much needed in the Daily Wire. So let me just say that first. And so Steven and Andrew Schultz brought this up, is that one of the motivations for Steven to do this is not only the $50 million, not only to have somebody run things, is that he doesn't have to worry about that stuff anymore, because I think he wanted a contract similar to Joe Rogan's, where Joe Rogan can say what he wants, pretty much, put on who he wants, pretty much, and if it gets demonetized, it's on a platform that doesn't demonetize. It's all based on ad revenue for Spotify. So the possibilities is not there, but Spotify ain't looking for Steven Crowder. He's not big enough yet. And he still has to work in the framework of YouTube, who does monetize. And here's the argument for the Daily Wire. We're here to make money. If we still have to pay you the $50 million and you're constantly getting demonetized because you're not responsible for what you're saying, because he has a whole host of other people who say very controversial stuff, straddles that line, says what needs to be said, but are not demonetized. Maybe some are, but the majority are not. So it is in the realm of possibility for that to be a conservative and do that. Now, I think when Steven Crowder decided to take it public as a moral high ground, that though this is no longer I'm going to do this anymore, I'm looking for the small person, and we should have something where you can say something and not be banned for it, because there's a lot of, because YouTube is left-leaning. And if someone who's not fighting against something that's prejudice, but feels that it's prejudice, feels wrong, because that is always the measurement, the bar for weak liberals, that whether something offends them, whether it's offensive or not, they demonetize, right? That's a big problem. So Steven Crowder's like, oh my God, if you're not going to defend me, why should I take the deal, right? If you're not going to have my back no matter what I say and still pay for me, why should I do that? I'm just getting paid a little bit more, well, maybe a lot more, to put myself in the exact same position. And you should have my back like Spotify has Joe Rogan's back. Now, Crowder has not said this, but I think that's what he wants. But the Daily Wire does not work on Spotify. Their model is not Spotify, and Crowder wants them to be Spotify, and I think Crowder is upset and got emotional, got liberal, and decided to expose a private contract negotiation. Now, here's this thing. The timeline is that it's been a month, when he was more than a couple months, where he had to sit with this offer. And he turned it down. Because of his stance. I want to say things And if they get demonetized, I still get paid what I'm supposed to get paid because I cover a much needed niche in your system. So he gets mad. And it may have been eating at him for a month. Daily Wire thinks it's meditated that he was going to go on his own, fill this gap that he wants them to fill, and use this negotiation as a jumping ground to do this new thing, wherein which he says, I will not have control and I will not censor you, and if I pay you something, I will pay you whether you are demonetized or not. I assume that's what he's going to do because that's what he wants Daily Wire to do. And he's throwing his friends under the bus, which are friends, and fellow conservatives under the bus to do that. That's what the Daily Wire is saying. Okay. So this is what I think. I think Crowder should have negotiated longer. And he should have said what I've been saying to you, that I need to have a little bit more liberty as a comedian. Because that's what I am. I am a conservative comedian, and my comedy is about politics. And I say stuff that you don't say. But that's the price for having a comedy section into the Daily Wire. You need to give me more liberty. You need to give me more room to move, to make the content that will make you money. That should have been the argument. And to see if the Daily Wire bites. It's a lot of money. Or ask for more money, which he's asked for about $100 million, and not and don't do any content that might be demonetized. Which I think that might have been an offer, but that might be just breaking even or losing for the Daily Wire. So at the end of the day, Daily Wire is the fastest growing conservative media right now in the world. And sort of the arrogance to tell the Daily Wire what they should be doing to be successful, that argument doesn't really work. You should do it this way, because this way is better. The only way you can determine something's better is by being better, right? By producing better results. And the Daily Wire is producing daily results, and they are actually going into courts, actually trying to go into the movie industry and the television industry, actually trying to change culture. And the way they're doing it is through their content and the way it is set up. And they are being successful. They didn't do so good with the last movie with Gina Carano because it came out way too late. They should have done something really quick. They missed the opportunity and people didn't care. And so Terror on the Plane with Gina Carano didn't hit anywhere that they thought it was because they did it a year and a half later. So that was a big mistake. But they're not going to give up. They're actually building content for your children to be around, to watch, and not worry about indoctrinating them in same-sex marriages or, more importantly, gender fluidity. And Crowder's nowhere near doing that. Nowhere near. And he wants them to change their model. Well, he shouldn't start talking about other people, other so-called new conservative media, and having their back, because not everybody's the same. And he should have told them that he was different. But he took this weird moral argument when he should have doubled down on himself and said, look, none of you guys are funnier than me. And right now there is nobody in conservative that is funny that has the funny and has a system of other funny people around him that just banter and go off each other and snipe. They haven't built anything like that. And he should double down on his talents and say, I am worth the risk. I am worth the risk. And he might have said, I'll take this much less, or that's fine, but you got to pay about 50% of my overhead, something, and see if Jeremy Boring and all them bit. Now here's where Crowder lost the argument. When he recorded his friend, which you're not supposed to do, and put it out in the open, and tried to, and wasn't forthcoming about the whole contract, sort of lied about a bit and omitted stuff in it. Once you start lying, once you start creating names, you sort of lose the argument, right? Conservatives always say that if you resort to personal name calling, you have lost the argument. You failed to meet them in the realm of ideas, and you stepped out and you got personal because you didn't have the argument. And I think that's what happened here. Daily Wire is successful, and they don't have to change their model. You change your model when you're not being successful. So, I don't know if Crowder missed an opportunity. He might be able to do it this new way and be just as successful as a Daily Wire, if not more. But Ben Shapiro and all of them are super smart. And I think if there was a way to do it, they would do it without taking a hit. But their eyes are not on future conservative media. Their eyes is on making the biggest impact with their media company as possible. And in that way, they are successful. So, but I do think Crowder's worth $50 million, and I do think he's worth having people. I mean, he's worth the Daily Wire taking a little bit of hit for the things he's going to say. Because that's the nature of comedy, and that's the nature of free speech, right? And I understand you make no money, but having him around might be a net good. You could consider it giving to charity. Not that he's a charity subject, is that you're giving to the charity of free speech. I will take this hit to have a comedy podcast produced with a lot of money so it can reach more people and prove, which is not that conservatives can not only be right, but they can be funny saying it. Because majority of the people that are on the Daily Wire and not everywhere else, they're not known for, they're funny. Let's take a little break here. Hey everybody, it's James Salazar with James Salazar Media here. If I can just have a moment of your time to talk about some of my shows and some free things I have for you. First of all, on my YouTube channel, I have the Brightburn YouTube Academy, where we talk about mindsets and belief systems of what it means to be an entrepreneur. We also have the Intellectual Anarchy show, where we talk about politics, philosophy, and religion. I think they're inseparable from having a keen mind and intellect. We also have the James Salazar Media podcast, where we talk about pop culture, politics, and futurism. Some free things I have for you. I have the Brightburn Society Facebook group. Here you gather with like-minded people on the same journey you're on meeting your goal, fulfilling your dreams, and what it means to be an entrepreneur. I also have a free handout, an ebook called How to Be Great at Everything You Do Blueprint. And also, If you want me to come speak at your event or you need some live coaching, you can find both these links in the James Salazar / SLING address, or take a picture of my QR code, and we'll all link you to all this stuff. So thank you for your time and have a good day. So hey everybody, it's James Salazar with James Salazar Media here. What did I do? I don't know, man. I push a button, look away, it gets crazy. So let's bring it all together, because I'm sort of figuring, as I look away and look up, I'm sort of trying to process what I want to say about this, because it's fairly brand new. And I'll say what I think. They're both right. I think he's worth taking a hit on. But Steven Crowder needs to know that they are there to make money, to make an impact. And they cannot take all the hit. You can't go months and months of being demonetized and expect them to still pay you $50 million. That's also crazy. And if you want to say what you want to say, you got to do your own thing and take the hits. But, like I said, on the other side, though they need to make money and make an impact, they are missing a real segment of comedy in the Daily Wire. And no matter what, if you're going to have a comedy show, or an individual doing something, it's always going to be at risk of being demonetized more than all your other shows, because they're not focusing on conservative ideas or how bad liberals are, as much as they're trying to do the funny in that framework. And funny means maybe saying a couple curse words, strategically planned, coming with a punchline that makes fun of somebody's gender dysphoria or same-sex marriage that will automatically get them demonetized, but the bit would be historical and you would get credit for that as much as Steven Crowder. So that's the way I see it. But at the end of the day, it should have been two friendly corporations, businesses, that had to agree to disagree. And for Crowder to make it out in the open and try to make them this underground evil group of people that we don't really know about, that don't have free speech is back, was pretty stupid and very liberal to do, and put him in the wrong. And once you, like I said, once you make it personal, and also when you try to explain yourself, you're already lost. He exposed the market, Crowder, and he should have just done it, but he shouldn't try to do it off the backs of this negotiation and try to take the Daily Wire down, because they wouldn't give him what he wanted. They didn't see it his way. When people can't see it your way and you know it's right, it is for you to show, then it's left to you. It's left to you to show that that idea works. If it is your idea, if it's your goal, it's your dream, then you have the responsibility to follow through on it. I'm sure it would have been great if you had Ben Shapiro and Jamie Boree doing the Daily Wire, but it's your dream. And at the end of the day, you can't be frustrated with other people who don't have the same vision as you. Because you're, like I say in my mindset programs, your dreams have to be bigger than people's opinions of them. And he got offended, he got mad, and he got personal, and decided to expose everything, and that makes him wrong. Not his idea, but him personally. So that's my take on this fight. It will be a tragedy if Steven Crowder doesn't apologize for how he went at Daily Wire. Shouldn't apologize for an idea. He just needs to implement it. So, because I think he is pushing himself into the outer. He put himself a step down. Now, the Daily Wire is a juggernaut. And I'm pretty sure if there's a few people who left Daily Wire, I'm pretty sure he picked up just as many. So I don't know. I just don't know. I just wish I was in that league. I'm planning to be. Watching my show, share it. Show everybody about James Salazar and how he thinks. Let them know that they can be a part of a little bit of intellectual anarchy every week, where we have diversity of ideas, extreme common sense, and extreme truth. So, my friends, I'm going to leave you with that. Conservatives, they should just get in the ring and box the shit out of each other. I would give it would have to be Ben Shapiro and James Bourne against Steven Crowder. I would still put my money on Steven Crowder. He probably whooped their ass. Doesn't mean anything, but it would be amazing pay-per-view. Call up Dana White. You know what would be better? If they had a wrestling match and they just do this talking, and then Crowder gets up, or Jamie Bourne gets behind Crowder and grabs his arms, and Ben Shapiro hits him over the head with a chair. That would be fantastic. I would watch that. Oh, he's not there no more. McMahon groped too many women. Bastard. Have a good one.